Hello everybody and welcome back to LRN. Today we preview the Baku Grand Prix, looking at the biggest news and predictions for the weekend ahead. If you are new around here, do make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit a like on the video if you do like it. Let's get straight into it. Okay, so the first thing I want to talk about today is Verstappen to bounce back. That's both from the Monaco Grand Prix last weekend, where he lost out to his teammate Perez, and from Baku last season, where he failed to finish after crashing out of that race. So I think we've seen in races already this season that the Red Bull is really, really good when they run a low wing, very quick on the straights, not like classic Red Bull that were always fantastic in the corners, but not necessarily the fastest in the straight. They do seem to have an advantage on circuits with long straights. I think Baku will be a really, really good track for them to get back to probably a 1-2. I will predict a 1-2 for Red Bull this weekend, assuming that they don't run into any issues, reliability issues of the like. As we know this season, if the Red Bulls finish, they tend to win. So I will predict a Red Bull win at this weekend's Baku Grand Prix. However, I do still expect Ferrari to put on a good showing and Mercedes to continue their improvement up the grid as well. We do have other cars that tend to run better at these tracks, but I don't suspect that they are going to be challenging near the front. I think maybe someone like Haas could have a good weekend, but we'll certainly see how that plays out. But my prediction for this weekend is that we'll see Red Bull 1 and 2 with Verstappen taking another victory, assuming that reliability doesn't become an issue. So the second thing to discuss this weekend are the comments that have been, well, putting the FIA President in hot water. So the FIA President has had lots of quotes come out from an interview that he's just carried out. I will give you some of them here. So the FIA president was quoted as saying, Niki Lauda and Alan Prost only cared about driving. Now Vettel drives a rainbow bicycle, Lewis is passionate about human rights, and Norris addresses mental health. Everybody has the right to think. To me, it is about deciding whether we should impose our beliefs in something over the sport all the time. Now, lots of issues with this, and he has come out since and clarified with the following statement on Twitter. As a driver, I've always believed in sport as a catalyst of progress in society. That is why promoting sustainability, diversity, and inclusion is a key priority of my mandate. In the same way, I value the commitment of all drivers and champions for a better future. So kind of contradicting what he'd already said and what he actually thinks. I think anyone who is aware of how these things work, people say what they actually mean. They get called out for it. They post a fake apology. That's where we are with this. He doesn't mean anything after the actual interview. This is not true. He believes what he said originally. Do not believe any different. Now, his mistake is confusing people's human rights with their beliefs. When someone is, homosexual, there is not a belief. That is their right as a human being to be that way. They do not choose it. It is who they are. So to talk about it as if you are pressing someone's beliefs that is, an okay thing, I think it is not correct, but is absolutely representative of his background and his beliefs as a Muslim man from an Arabian community. He, clearly he doesn't agree with it, but he doesn't prevent the message of inclusion from happening in F1, because he simply couldn't do that. He'd be very quickly, I believe, out of a job should he have pressed his own beliefs into the sport of F1 and the wider world. So that's the position that we're in. Hardly surprising that he holds these beliefs either. It is part of his religion. But again, I don't think he can include things like mental health awareness in people's beliefs. That should be the same for everybody, every creed, religion, sexuality. Everyone's mental health matters because it's a human right. He has approached this entirely the wrong way, said a lot of things that did not need saying, and despite his very insincere apology on Twitter, I do suspect that this will not be the end of it. I expect it to be talked about. Whether or not it leads to anything, I don't know. It may just be brushed under the carpet. People, hush hush. He is, after all, the FIA president, so I don't know how much power there is to do anything about it in the short term. But certainly concerning that someone in such a high position of power would say such horrible things, really. given the position that he holds. So hopefully, obviously, I wouldn't believe an apology again if he makes it, but the drivers need to be allowed to protest in any way they see fit. And I hope that in a reaction to this, the other drivers on the grid come out in unison, and the teams come out in unilaterally to actually push these agendas and these issues even more, to show that it is not okay, regardless of the position you hold, to try and oppress people's attempts at protecting human rights in the sport and the wider world. So sad that he's had to say that, but I expect him to be in a bit of hot water after it, and I'm hoping that that isn't the end of it and it isn't brushed under the carpet, but we will see how that progresses and what is talked about over the weekend. Next up, we have further discussions about Hamilton's potential retirement. So this is on the back of Vettel basically pointing out that he doesn't believe Hamilton will hold the same level of excitement for the sport, given that he's no longer fighting at the front. And that's based on the experience Vettel had of going from challenging for a win at every race to being, mid-table team. It's really hard to just accept and move on to not being a winner, not fighting at the front, and that he expects Hamilton to be struggling with that change if they can't fix it soon. And if they don't fix it, he suspects Hamilton might retire because he just isn't enjoying not being at the front anymore. And he compared it to Russell, someone who has been fighting at the back of the grid with Williams. He's clearly going to be really happy. Even if he's only getting 8th consistently, he's going to be happy because 8th is a lot better than 20th. But to go from 1st to 8th is a huge drop, and something that may be mentally affecting Hamilton and his absolute passion and drive to be at the front, which might be why we're seeing Russell slightly outdrive Hamilton at the moment, because his head isn't there. He needs a winning car to get the best out of him and his drive and his mind in the right place, because I think we all know that when Lewis's mind is in the right place and he's in the car that he likes, he's unstoppable, when he's proven that against multiple teammates, Alonso, Button and more, that proven drivers. He's outdone all of them in winning cars. So yeah, I certainly would be interested to see how things, if Mercedes can get back to the front, can Hamilton get back to his winning ways and show Russell what he's all about? Is it in age? Is he simply just deteriorating with his age? Has it caught up with him? We'll only find that out when Mercedes get their car back to the front to see if Russell can continue to beat Hamilton on qualifying and race days. But yeah, very interesting comments from Vettel, and something to keep an eye on should Mercedes continue to struggle to catch up to Red Bull and Ferrari into the rest of this season and maybe next season as well. So we'll see how that plays out. So next up, we have the pit lane exit and entry rules have been confirmed. So you may be aware, at the Monaco Grand Prix, Ferrari lodged 2 appeals against Red Bull, one for Perez, one for Verstappen, that they had crossed the white lines on pit exit because their tyres had touched the white lines. Now, with Perez's one, the video footage was reviewed and it quite clearly showed he didn't. So Ferrari very quickly dropped that accusation, and that was absolutely fine. Everyone agreed. Verstappen's was the interesting one because he very clearly did touch the line. And there's previous precedents for, I think Tsunoda was the most recent one to be done for this, twice in one race last season, where he crossed the white line with any part of his tyre. So what's happened now going into this weekend is race director Niels Wittich, I may have gotten that wrong, has confirmed that as of this season, the regulations have changed, and the whole tyre, one whole tyre, has to cross the white line for it to cause a penalty. So that will be either on pit entry or pit exit. But what that does do is clarify why Verstappen was not given a penalty following the Monaco Grand Prix, which would, of course, promoted Charles Leclerc up onto the podium, and explains why we didn't see any repercussions. So it's good that they've clarified it, so we know that going into the rest of the season. So maybe now the drivers know that. We might see them at Baku trying a bit harder on entry and exit because they know they've got a little bit more wiggle room to play with. But certainly good to know, at least going into this weekend, we've had clarification on the rules. their tyres can touch the white line, but if any individual tyre goes all the way over that line, it will be a penalty. But it's extended from any part of the tyre touching it as a penalty to any part of all the tyre going over the line will now be a penalty. So at least we've had that clarification. And finally, the last thing to look out for this weekend is that what another of Schumacher's records are set to be broken, but this time by Fernando Alonso. So currently Schumacher holds the record for the longest period of time between debut and his final race, standing at 21 years and 3 months exactly. Alonso is due to break that record this weekend, going past that official time of 21 years and 3 months. It just shows the longevity of Alonso, up there with drivers like Schumacher. Obviously that was extended by Schumacher when he came back to drive for Mercedes and help build the team that, has been so successful for Lewis and previously Rosberg as well. But for Alonso to still be driving at the standard he is, he may not be in a front car, but you can see it in every race. He adapts as well. I think one of the best things about Alonso is his ability to adapt his driving style to any car. The way that he drives now versus cars that he's had in the past is completely different, and he's still a phenomenal driver. You see with drivers like Ricciardo how much he's struggled from car to car, where he absolutely excelled in the Red Bull. Ever since then, he has really struggled because he cannot find a car that gives him that the confidence in the car to drive it as fast as we know that he can when he's got the machinery he trusts underneath him. So as I say, for Alonso, congratulations to him for this, for being, obviously just for being around so long is an achievement, but to be around this long and be consistently this good is just unheard of. And as I say, congratulations to him. It may not mean anything to him. It may just be a bit of nothing because it's just another number, probably not a record that Schumacher ever really thought about either, but just for him to still be driving at this standard after such a long time, I just think it's absolutely phenomenal. So congratulations to Alonso, and I hope he has a good race this weekend, now that he will be the record holder for the person who has driven the longest period of time between their debut and their latest race. So there we have it. That's the latest news and previews heading in to the Baku weekend, where, as I say, we look to see probably the Red Bulls out of the front, but hopefully not. Hopefully we can see a fight between Ferrari and the Red Bulls. As I say, if you are new around here, do make sure to subscribe to the channel so you're notified of all future uploads. And if you like the video, make sure to hit that like button before you close the video. Otherwise, I'm going to hope you have a great day. Thank you so much for watching. Goodbye.